Hello, my name is Dr. André Chiang, and I am an assistant professor of voice at the Greenwood School of Music.
Hi, my name is Jason Estala, and I am the costume lab manager here at Oklahoma State for the theater department.
We are here to discuss a tutorial for upgrading the singer's mask, right, made by the Broadway Relief Project. Because singing has been shown as a high-risk transmission activity for COVID-19, we have made efforts to mitigate this by using the singer's masks and other sort of masks. With initial results from the University of Colorado study, which was co-sponsored by a coalition of performing arts organizations like NATS, NFHS, and NAM, we have seen a greater need for more protection due to aerosol transmission. Using information from another study by Colorado State University, we have decided to line the inside of the singer's mask with MERV 13 filter. This will actually help it to stop the transmission of aerosols closer to that of an N95 mask. Through different empirical use cases, we have felt that lining the inside of the mask with MERV 13 filter has effectively reduced the emission of aerosols as well as maintained the breathability that we love about the singer's mask. So now I'll have Jason go over what he did in order to put the filter into the mask.
Great, thank you. So to line the mask with the new filter, what I've done is I've already created a pattern for you to use. It'll be available for you. What you want to do is cut the pattern out from the paper and place it on the MERV filter. Now, there is a right and wrong way that the filter works. If you feel the filter itself, there is a smooth side and a fuzzy side. The smooth side is what goes out, away from you, and the fuzzier side is what's going to go inside the mask towards your mouth. So it is directional. So all I have to do is just lay it on. I penciled it out and I cut out the pieces. And so that took me to these three pieces. There is a larger round one, that is the bottom. There is a shorter round one, that is the top of the mask. And then there is a long strip, that'll be the center of the mask. What you want to do is take your singer's mask and turn it inside out. You'll notice there's a little ledge right here, this little lip, and it's covered with little loops of thread. That's the surge of the seam allowance. And that's what we're going to grip the filter to. So what you want to do is take your mask, take your three pieces, and I'm going to start by centering that strip across the top of the mask. Now make sure that the fuzzy side is up, because remember, we're inside out. So when you push it right side in again, the fuzzy part goes towards your mouth. And I can feel the fuzzy part that goes up. Then I'm going to take, in this case, the bottom, it's the larger circle, and place it in the center. I want to sandwich the mask between the two layers of filter using those little loops, that surge edge as a guide. And then I'm going to simply just take a pin to hold it in place. I'm going to do that and work my way down each side of the mask. And again, I am using that little row of stitching on the mask as my guide. And I'm going to work the other end and work my way back and forth, side to side, lining up and sandwiching the filter and the mask together. Now, as you go back and forth, you'll end up with something like this. You can see how all the edges are put together. Now, I'm using sewing pins. If you don't have sewing pins, I also did it with binder clips. It works the same way. You just need something to hold the filter in place while you're sewing. So after you have that done, all you need is a needle and thread. Now what I've done is I've taken a piece of thread and threaded my needle, and I just knot at the end. This is two pieces of thread going through with one knot on the end. All we're going to do is what we call a whip stitch. And I'm going to pierce the mask and pull through. I'm piercing the filter on one side and coming out the other end with this looping motion. As you get to a pin, you just remove it. And again, I'm piercing through and around. And I pierce through and around. That's one layer of the filter with the mask, and I'm going to move now to all three layers. So I have filter, mask, and filter, and I stab through and around. And you just continue this motion across the entire mask. I pierce through all the sandwich of the layers and pull through. Now the whip stitch is not the prettiest stitch, but it's definitely a functional stitch, and that's what we're going for. I'm also using black thread so you can see the stitches. If you used a white or a cream colored thread, you would never know they're there. So you're going to work your way around the entire mask. So one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to run out of thread or you're going to get to the end. So what you're going to do, let's say I ran out of thread. I'm going to take a stitch, and as I pull the thread, it makes a loop. I'm going to pass my needle through the loop, and when I pull, it'll make a knot. And again, I take a little stitch. It makes a loop. I pass the needle through the loop, and it makes a knot. You want to do that about 3 or 4 times to secure it. And then you can cut it off. So again, continue this process until you finish the entire mask. After you do one side, repeat on the other. In the next case, it would be this little piece, and I would sandwich it in, and I would stitch along. After you do that, you end up with something like this. But here's an issue. The filter is now in, but you can see it creates a pocket. There's a little gap right here. We need to seal that off, or else it's pointless to put the filter in at all. So what we're going to do is a second kind of stitch. The same thing, I have a needle threaded with a knot on the end. And what I'm going to do is what we call a running stitch. I'm literally going to go back and forth. This is what they teach you in 3rd grade when you sew with shoelaces. You go back and forth. You're just going in and out of the filter. This is going to secure the filter so that there's no pocket, and that'll solidify the gap. And I literally go in and out, in and out. When you finish, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take a little stitch. It makes a loop. You pass the needle through the loop, and it makes a knot. Again, do that about 3 or 4 times. And you'll secure it, and then you can cut it off. And that'll give you this row of stitching. And that'll keep that flap from opening. When you're done, then you'll just turn your mask right side out. You won't see the stitching along the serge edges, but you will see that stitching along the top and bottom edge. But if you do it in a matching thread, you'll never know it's there. And then your mask is now lined with the MERV filter. What you want to do is every so often take a small bottle of alcohol and spray it to disinfect it. It is also washable. It could be hand or machine washed in cold water and air dried. Because if you throw it in the dryer, there's a chance that the wire might rust. And that's how you keep your mask clean.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
Oh, no problem.
So even with all of the filtering, you still want to follow your school's safety guidelines, the local and state level guidelines, and the CDC recommendations. The whole point of all this is to give us another opportunity to sing, and so as a result, social distancing and the right fit of the mask are still incredibly important. So even with the filter, it does not mean we can sort of shirk our responsibility.
Great. If you need more information about the protocol we use to determine this, there will be links following the video. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we can keep singing together. Thank you.
Thank you.